Hiya, it's wishlist time. The other week I did a top 5 most wanted US office Funko Pops list. And then I thought, what other comedy programmes or situation comedies, sitcoms, could Funko license and bring out a range of pops that'd be interesting and collectible to guys like you and me? Thinking about the comedy programmes that I'm into, and there's a lot, and I've narrowed down to a list of 5 that I think would make a good Funko range. But obviously you will probably have different ideas, different favourite programmes, different favourite sitcoms, etc. And if you want to discuss those with me in the comments, then please do. I'm always happy to chat with my subscribers and people who watch these videos. But this is my top 5, a personal top 5 of sitcom characters that I would like Funko to make a range of. Now, picking these was difficult, but what I did, I had to bear in mind that Funko is an American company, and a lot of the comedy, probably the majority of the comedy that I watch and that I've been into for years, is British comedy. Now, some British comedies have transferred over to America and they're popular, and I've picked 3 of those in this top 5. The other 2 sitcoms that I've picked for this top 5 are actually American ones, so the chances of those being released as Funko Pops purely for the sake of Funko being an American company is probably more likely. But anyway, let's get on with it. Top 5 most wanted sitcom Funko Pops. This would be a top 6 if I'd not done The Office, so let's just assume The Office is number 1 or number 0 or whatever. But apart from The Office, which we've already done a whole video about specific characters, this is my top 5. So number 5, I've picked Alan Partridge. Alan Partridge, the sitcom I'm Alan Partridge. It ran for 2 seasons. First one in '97, I believe. Second one in 2002. Alan Partridge was a character who originated on BBC Radio here in the UK. And he did like a spoof chat show. Also, he featured on a BBC sketch show that was on the radio, transferred to TV, The Day Today. The chat show that he did on the radio, that transferred to TV, Knowing Me, Knowing You. Really, it's a character that's been ubiquitous in British comedy for 25 years or more. There was a feature film released a few years ago, Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa, and there's a new Alan Partridge TV series coming on BBC One this year, I think, or no, next year, sometime next year, I think. Very soon, I think they've filmed it already. Such a funny character, Alan Partridge. Other characters who could be made into pops. There is other recurring characters. The main couple that I'm thinking of from the sitcom and the movie are Alan's PA Lynn and his kind of best friend, the Geordie Michael. So even if it was just one Alan Funko Pop, I just think that'd be a great looking pop. Number 4, I've gone with an American sitcom that's a personal favourite of mine. It's quite a mainstream sort of one, but I don't think it gets the love now that it probably did back when it was on TV in the 90s. I think it ended around 2003, 2004. And that's Everybody Loves Raymond. It's kind of your traditional setup. It's like, you know, a family. You think, oh, well, these have been 10 a penny, particularly in the USA. There's been so many bog standard US family-based sitcoms. What's so special about this? But I think it's the writing in Everybody Loves Raymond and the development of the characters. I mean, Raymond himself, the titular character, is a sports journalist, kind of a henpecked husband and a henpecked son, as he and his wife and family live across the street from his overbearing and at times obnoxious parents, and he's got the eccentric older brother. It's really funny, and it's something that gets repeated quite a lot in the UK still. I don't think it's a sitcom that really exploded in popularity. It had a steady audience and it lasted for 9 seasons, I think. I'm looking at the DVD box set, I've got it, and I'm going to have to watch it again because it's been a while. So it had a sustained audience, certainly in America and probably other parts of the world, for almost a decade. And I think the wealth of characters is a good reason for Funko to do a Everybody Loves Raymond line, because you've got Raymond and his wife and kids, his parents, his brother Robert. They're the main ones, so Everybody Loves Raymond at number 4. Number 3 is a British sitcom that I think has got a bit of a cult following in the USA, and that is the IT Crowd. And I think the IT Crowd is a little more popular than perhaps some other British sitcoms in America, hence Funko may consider doing a line of Funko Pops of the IT Crowd. I think because they've already made a couple of US pilots, you know, these US remakes. I mean, the obvious example of a UK comedy being remade in the US is The Office, and that worked out perfectly as far as I'm concerned. The US one is even better than the original British version. Whereas I think the IT Crowd, I think there's been at least one, possibly two now, attempts to do a US pilot, and no networks in America have picked up on it. And I think it's the case of it just works as like a British thing. And it's quite a modern sitcom. In fact, it will be the most recently made situation comedy on my list. So it's, you know, it kind of looks fresh, and a lot of the jokes in there kind of touch upon social media and the internet and technology, all things that we live with every day now. How can there not be a Richard Ayoade pop of some description? He's just got a really unique look. He'd be a great pop, and there's other characters, Jen, Roy, the Renhams, Denham, the father, played by the legendary Chris Morris, who also appeared in I'm Alan Partridge, and his son, played by Matt Berry, Douglas Renham. I think that'd be a good line, assuming Funko believe it would sell enough, because these things, they've got to sell in America, really. That's why I've not picked anything that's really properly British. There's so many comedy programs that I like, but how well they've done in America is, I think a lot of them probably not very. I can think of a few off the top of my head now, but I won't go into those because it'll just be going off on a tangent, really. Number 2 is the other US sitcom that I've picked. Probably the greatest American sitcom ever, if you don't count Seinfeld. It isn't Seinfeld. I do like Seinfeld, actually. It's something that I've only watched that, like, this year. Seinfeld, or was it last year? Possibly last year. But the sitcom I chose, and I think a lot of people think this is the best sitcom that ever came out of the United States, and it's Frasier. Ran for 11 seasons, originally a spin-off of Cheers, of course. It's some iconic, brilliant characters and fantastic writing, really witty, on a kind of more cerebral level. You know, it's not your dumbed down kind of sitcom like, you could argue, sitcoms like Friends, and even Everybody Loves Raymond to an extent could be. This was just witty. Not all the jokes were like laugh out loud funny, but they were clever. It wasn't clever in like a sort of smug way, a self-satisfied way, even though obviously the two main characters in Frasier, the Crane brothers, are kind of smug, but we laugh at them as well as with them, and it's great. I've seen talk of there being a Frasier revival coming at some point, because there seems to be talk of reviving all sorts. Even the US Office has been mooted for a revival, which I do think is a good idea, because it only ended a few years ago, and that's the sort of show that could work with a changing, rotating cast. But Frasier, I don't think it'd work now, and I kind of hope they leave it alone. Everyone's so much older. I mean, John Mahoney, who played Martin, Frasier and Niall's dad, he sadly passed away. Although maybe it's like a one-off episode to kind of catch up with everybody, however many years it's been since it was last on TV. I think about 13 or 14 years since it ended. Possibly, but a full revival of Frasier I just don't think could work. But there'd be a great range of Frasier Funko Pops if Funko ever decided to license that line. And the number 1 in my most wanted sitcom Funko Pops is, and it's a British sitcom with an Irish cast, and I believe it's gained quite some traction in America since its original release over 2 decades ago. Father Ted, I'm a big Father Ted fan. It's difficult for me to pick my favourite British sitcom because I've watched so many and I love so many. Father Ted I love, and my kids love it as well, and just the characters, these so surreal and mad, yet that's exactly the sort of thing that should work in making Funko Pops. Really funny faced looking little things, and Father Ted to me just would encapsulate that Funko aesthetic. It's not massive in America, but I know it's got an audience over there. I remember when I was in America a few times some years ago, I used to watch episodes of it on BBC America. Probably like a cult show, like Alan Partridge and the IT Crowd would be over there. Nothing that's kind of blown up, but just Father Ted Pops, you know, Pops of Ted and Dougal, Father Jack, Mrs. Doyle, Bishop Brennan. I could sit and talk about Father Ted for hours. I could sit and talk about a lot of these shows for hours, actually. Wrestling is a passion of mine, and TV comedy, sitcoms is a passion of mine. They're my two biggest passions, really. I was thinking about doing a top 5 film wish list, and I still might, but the films, I'm not into as many films as I am TV shows, and I think I will not struggle to pick 5 films, but pick 5 films that really would lend themselves to being licensed by Funko. I think it'd be quite difficult because the movies I'm into, they're not sort of ones that get heavily merchandised by anyone. But anyway, Father Ted, number 1, and that's my list. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate everyone who's subscribed to the channel or just pops in to watch my videos. And thank you to all those who've left comments, it's much appreciated. I'll be doing more videos over time. With me not being a regular Funko collector, it's difficult to do videos, do content about my Funkos because you've seen them all and I've not got any new ones. But that's not to say I won't get any. In fact, I'm involved with something special for Christmas with some of the YouTubers, and there will be a new Funko Pop before Christmas to show you, so look out for that, but that's a bit of a secret at the moment. I can do other wish lists as well, so if you don't mind me kind of just talking about things that I'm into and things that I think Funko should be licensing, then there'll be other wish list videos for me to do. So if you like what you saw, then please leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Twitter at WWEFatherTed. There we go, that's 2 of my passions rolled into the one account. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see why. It's not a personal Twitter account, it's one I use for comedic. If you follow me, you'll see what I mean. Add me as a friend on Facebook, the JimmyBarnes. Follow me on Stashpedia, JimmyBarnes, all one word. And I'll see you soon. See ya.